Lots of acquisitions made in Jadeja and Sam Curran and Donovan Ferreira as well. Lots of releases too. Matt, what's their agenda?
Yeah, I think going to be a different strategy this year. Clearly, with the release of those two overseas spinners, Hasaranga and Tikshana. So I think there's a possibility they'll go with two overseas quicks, which would be Archer and someone else. They obviously have Nandre Berger in their squad, who I think is seen as a real high potential player. So he's someone that could come into the mix. They might also look to invest there at the auction. I would imagine that Dhruv Jurel might bat a little higher up this year. That would be my expectation. He's obviously been used in mainly as a finisher, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him come at 4. I see Curran as a likely starter, most likely as he's sort of become a batting all rounder really. So I'd have him as probably number 5, and then I think Ferreira could push Hetmyer quite hard actually for that finishing spot. So I think they'll be looking for an Indian spinner potentially and a bit of overseas fast bowling as well.
Just a question on Donovan Ferreira, who seems to be the talk of the town. Like, there are people going up to Delhi. How could you release Ferreira? I'm sorry, I don't watch as much cricket outside, but maybe Matt can tell me what's the sort of big expectation for Ferreira. And I'll add one more question to the same point. They have 7 overseas slots that are already occupied, so they've got room only for 1 overseas. And out of those 7 overseas spots, there's Ferreira, Mapaka, Pretorius, and Berger. These aren't necessarily your sort of experienced IPL players. There's a lot of promise, but they only have 1, like I said, overseas slot left. So I'm just a little bit, I'm curious. That's all.
Yeah, on Ferreira, he's had a good couple of years with Oval Invincibles in the 100. They've obviously won the last, I think, 3 editions, and he strikes at over 200 for them. He's done well in smaller leagues as well. Major League Cricket, he's been a success. He's obviously not really had much of an opportunity in the IPL. I think he only played once or maybe twice for DC last year. But yeah, it's an interesting trade for sure, because as you say, Ronak, in terms of the Nitish situation, I think that he could be a real steal. I definitely saw him as a steal at the auction last year, but it didn't quite work out maybe as they would have hoped. And then, Ferreira moving away. I think, you could have seen that trade taking place at a much higher price point, and it would have been interesting to see how that would have evolved. But yeah, I think Ferreira for 1 crore is potentially a very good buy. And I would imagine his price, again, as we've said for various other players, might well have been higher if he'd gone to the mini.
And the thing is, Ferreira becomes the backup for Hetty as a power hitter in that sense, and also like brings in that right-handed element towards Tara's lower order, because there's so many stacked up with so many left-hand batters. You have Sam Curran there, etc. So the one skill set I think RR have to find out is a good spinner. Right now,
so I don't
see
Bishnoi will be a target. So Bishnoi will be the
they
target.
definitely need a spinner, and who it is, if they get an overseas, then they kind of who's playing, who's the regular overseas guys. They're going to be Sam Curran will play. You will have
Jadeja is one.
Jadeja is one guy, but he's not.
Yeah, I don't think there's space for an overseas spinner personally, as I see it. I think it's going to be Curran, Hetmyer, and Archer as 3 overseas, and then an overseas fast bowler is the last one.
This is where Rahul Chahar might find Karan Sharma, Rahul Chahar perhaps. Just one more thing, which I think a couple of viewers might be interested in, is the Jadeja trade going from 18 crore to 14 crore. So that's a reduced negotiation that took place, and Nagaraj was kind enough to help me go through a very detailed legal document on rules and regulations on trades. And you're
the lawyer, you're LLB boss.
Thank you, Nagaraj. Yeah, I can just inform that it's a very rare thing because it requires player consent, and players rarely consent to be paid less. But as long as the IPL and the BCCI have certain protocols in place to ensure that certain standards are met and there's nothing inconsistent about these sorts of deals. So after that, this has been approved and accepted. So this is a rare thing because players don't usually accept being officially traded for a lesser price. But that's why Jadeja has gone 18 to 14. It is more common to go higher, and that's how Donovan Ferreira has got a small hike from 75 lakh, I think it was, to 1 crore, for whatever it was. But these negotiations can happen independently, and they're well within the IPL trading rules.
So the rules state simply that the negotiated amount will be the contracted amount, and that's what IPL needs to know, and that will be deducted from the purse, simply put. So the negotiated amount here was 14 crores between RR and Jadeja, and that is what will be cut, even if CSK paid him 18 crores.
And sorry, just a last follow up. Why would a player accept a pay cut? Well, who knows? Maybe he enjoys the likelihood of being captain of the franchise, and that is one more reason why he decided to leave, accept the trade from a side like CSK.